Hi, this is Christina Dam, and this is Liberate the Podcast, where we educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness.
Hello.
Hello.
It's deep cut.
It's deep cut.
It's deep cut. We're going deep.
We're going real deep.
We're going deep with essences.
Yeah. This is Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki. My company is Urban Mysticism. I am a shamanic sound healer and intuitive Reiki master, all that business. But along that journey, 5 years ago, I created a line of gem and flower essences, and I'm stepping back into that realm. I took a hiatus for a while, and now I'm back. I'm back.
She's back. Yeah. So I'm Rebekah. I am a Reiki, pranic healer, astrologer, all of the things.
Goddess
what else?
extraordinaire.
Musician, singer, all of the things. But I've worked with essences a lot, not as a healer, but as somebody that was seeking healing. So I'm super stoked to talk to Nikki today about what she's going to be bringing back to the table, because essences are often confused with essential oils. So let's maybe first talk about what they are and what they aren't. But you often see flower essences, plant essences, and then gemstone essenses. So, and all kind of variations of things. In
So I do it all. That's the difference. So
Right.
much like you, I started going, there was a place in Hollywood, there was a whole strip in Hollywood, this is OG LA girl, that was on Melrose. It was the Bodhi Tree bookstore. Across the street, it was Ann Vi's Garden. Next to it was a place called Elixir.
Okay.
Basically, all these places were the hub. When I was in my early 20s when I was acting, so that was I used all these things as my therapy. And there was a place, Ann Vi's Garden, that carried gem essences. And it was the first time, this was 20 years ago, basically, close to, that I started using them. And it was just an elixir you would just take and then dropper form. And they had gem essences and they had flower essences, and you just took them. But I was always really into that. And then as aromatherapy really started to kind of build up steam, I'm very scent driven, and that was always something. So basically my essence line was born out of me wanting to incorporate all those things and having a lot of people tell me that you can't do that. And so I'm an Earth Horse Taurus, so if you tell me that I can't do it, I'm going to do it. That's it. So I was no. And then I just started researching all different things and things that I wanted to do. And basically I just intuited. I literally channeled and intuited every ounce of my line, from what I put in them to the company. I work with a company that does the flower essences. It's a company called Green Hope Farm, and it's on the East Coast. And I was just lucky enough to get connected with the owner, and she was of course, before I kind of embarked on this journey, I had this idea of what I wanted it to be. And she was yeah. So I started working with them, and then intuiting what I wanted it to be. I basically started it because I wanted something for protection. So instead of just saging, and I wanted in session work where you can't use smoke sometimes, I wanted something that I could protect myself, clear the space, it would smell nice, it would be all good.
Yeah.
And then it went into me formulating one for anxiety, one for sleep, one for pets, one for heart healing, and basing them on affirmations and infusing 3 affirmations in each bottle for each thing. And then I put crystals in the bottle and basically incorporated, and I blend the gem essences in my crystal singing bowls. And do vocal toning over them, so it has that in it. In addition to that,
so it's a music line as well.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably getting it by now, but it is basically the vibration of different substances that have different healing properties or different energies that is carried over to the water, right? So if you had a rose quartz essence, you would get the vibration of the stone rose quartz. In the water, which usually has a small amount of alcohol or something for preserving, and then you can mist it. Some of them you mist them around you, or you just take them a few drops. And Rescue Remedy is probably the best known
And
from the
Siddha.
box.
Siddha blends are really, really good as well.
Cool.
That Siddha was actually also an inspiration for me. It's SIDDA.
HA?
I think HA. That was like, that actually was what brought me back into the flower essence world. Rescue Remedy is good in the Bach essences, but I feel like Siddha was like on a next level. And I started using that for anxiety.
Yeah.
And then I got in touch with this woman who told me about Green Hope, and they didn't use when I first started, I was doing, before I did aromatherapy, I was just doing like elixirs that you would take orally. And I didn't want to do alcohol because I also wanted to do it because I've been a nanny for 15 years. One of my kids had ADHD, and I wanted to create something to help him. He was having really difficult time sleeping and night terrors and all this. So I wanted to create something to help him with that as well. So I started with that, and it was like a tea. It's called Red Shiso. And so that was the base. So there wasn't alcohol, so kids could use it.
Oh, cool.
And then past that, I was like, people do get weird, and there's a lot of like stuff that you got to go through if you take anything orally in terms of like licensing and insurance and everything. So I was like, how can I do this to where everybody's using it in a way where you don't feel weird ingesting something? And then that's when it really started to unfold, that it was like, okay. So then we put the oils with it. So then now you've got all of the benefits of the healing in a spray or in an oil that you can spray your pillow, that you can spray the dogs, that you can spray, which I do every night. Like, how do you do that? And so that was like,
that's so awesome.
How it all kind of came together.
Yeah, so it's a vibrational medicine because the oils have energetic properties too, right? Mm-hmm. Crystals, flowers, all of them do.
I'm very mindful about where I get my oils. And
let's this is where I get like a little snooty. But the first couple of essences that I ever used were from healers that I knew personally. Shout out to Shanti Kai in Hawaii, and also Essence Alchemy, which is Mark D'Aquila, who was based in Ojai and is now around. But essences are becoming more trendy. So I will just say that each of them is not equal in quality. Like you can't, you can just fire a bunch of rose quartz in a bottle and call it a day, but it's really not the same. It's not the same thing. Yeah. It's not really like a properly crafted and created essence.
That's why I took time off. That's a perfect point.
Yeah, all of the healers that I know that have done
I stopped for a while.
It's like a whole process. No. It's very, very involved to create these. So I would love to know a little bit more about the process that you go through to create them, if that's cool.
That's basically why I took time off, because I had hit a point and it was literally just me doing everything myself. And my mom would go with me to the farmers market. It was like a family affair. But I didn't want to outsource that to anybody else. That mother blend and that process of that, like, it's one thing to have people help me labeling or something, but to put what's in there. So I did for a company called Booty Box, and I did 950 units that I created for a subscription box, and I did them all by myself. And it was a lot. And at that point I realized, okay, either I'm going to have to outsource other people to help me if I want to take this to the next level, or how do I do it? And I kind of and I went through some personal trauma, and I had a miscarriage, and I had these things, and it was like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the correct energy to instill. And I would do little small batches when I felt comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then I basically stopped, and I sold just little one-on-one here and there for the next year or so. And then last summer, I went to Big Bear for a couple weeks and my friend's cabin, and it was the first time I'd done big blends again. Because energetically, I was in a space that was good energetically, because I will never do a blend. I will never put that. So basically I take crystals, because a lot of crystals are toxic, which is why you can't ingest a lot. But so I will take them and put them within a glass encasement, in the water, in the bowls, and then do my sound healing over that. And sometimes if the energy's good.
I didn't know you were going to tell us all about the sound healing piece of it. I'm just like really excited about it.
I have videos of it. I actually have some on my Instagram last summer of me doing it, of like kind of showing what I do. And then if the energy's good enough in the space, I'll let the water chill there for a while. So, which was what I got to, which was what brought me back into this, was a couple weeks ago, and I was in Joshua Tree, and I was in like the most amazing Airbnb. The owner is a shaman. It comes from a long line of shamans, and like it's super blessed. And it was like, okay, I can do this. Like I can have this again. And I intuited what I'm working on now for ancestral healing. And it's also brought me back to, okay, get back to business. Start making the essences again. People need them. Because I got a little bit like kind of put off when everybody and their mom and like Pacifica now has crystals in the bottle. I had people being like, coming to me at my booth, asking me, how do you make them? What do you do? And I was like, I intuited it.
People can,
I didn't follow anything. Like I took a couple courses on just like the toxic nature of crystals and what you can and can't put and how would you do that. But everything else I've done has been all intuition and led me where I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to do it. And I've helped children. I've had testimonies where parents of kids have said like, my child had night terrors and now they use your spray and they just even see the bottle and they feel comforted. Like it was a lot of that. And I kind of forgot about that. Even now talking about it, I feel like I'm in a chair. Like I forgot about like what it was all doing. And it's like, it started to feel like it got sullied when like the market got sullied with it. And it kind of put me off. Like I felt like the healing nature of what it was starting to get kind of trampled. Like most of the stuff that's trendy now, which I get.
They don't know that there's a difference between what you're making and then like somebody that I am snobby about it. Sorry, but I mean there's just
I'm curious about it too. Because if you're using it for just something to smell cool and look cute, then go ahead with it. Great. But if you're going for like deeper healing with stuff, like.
And like go for it, like, you know, explore, but you have to start somewhere if you're passionate about making them. Like I don't say that to discourage anyone from going for it. It's just like it's a holy, like reverent process. So everyone's process might be a little bit different, but it's like you're really tapped into spirit, and you're setting your intention in order to craft this vibrational essence.
No, I take it seriously. That's why I don't want to mess around. You know, like I was going through stuff and I was like, I don't want to blend, you know, like I don't want like funky city vibes in my stuff. Like I don't, you know, it's always been really sacred to me because I know it was given to me in a really sacred way that ultimately is from my ancestors. Like, I know that I come from medicine women and even in the generations that are within my family, but very much native, natural healing, holistic healing from the earth. Like that's what I come from. So I always knew that I couldn't, it's not something I want to play around with, you know, It's like a lot of stuff. Like I don't mess around with things. So if I feel like I'm not doing it at the level that it deserves to be given, then I can't. And so.
Yeah, it's really neat too, because like, just putting it out there, like people have access to like, for example, I wanted the energy of diamonds, right? But I wasn't going to go buy diamonds because we're not there right now financially to be going to buy diamonds. Yeah. But I wanted to access this really clean, clear diamond vibration. So I bought an essence to do that. And
I used to put Herkimer diamonds in all of mine. It was the one like solidifier of all the stuff.
It's just like, it's so cool. And then, you know, for anybody that might be wondering also how it works, right? If you think about like the Dr. Emoto water experiments, right? Water is just like a really receptive substance. So it just absorbs vibration. And there's tons of studies that have shown this. Check out What the Bleep Do We Know? That's all you need to do. If you don't know about that stuff, just check that out.
I will never drink water if I've been in a restaurant or an environment where people have been arguing. That's that. It takes it on. I bless water before I drink it, and he does it wherever it comes from. But always, like, I'm very big on. I always have a bottle. I always have a bottle of some sort. I don't like having open water. And if I'm in an environment where people are arguing or there's something weird or energies, I'm like, I don't want that water. Because I feel like it now took up all that and absorbed all that. Which is why also, as one of the many things when you're doing cleansings of a place, you'll put salt in the corners, you can put water in there too, and you pour that water out because it's now taken in and absorbed all that kind of funky energy. Just as much as it does the good energy, it takes in the funky too.
Right, exactly. So like you have to be in the right space when you're creating it. But it's funny because I actually asked my friend Mark DeQuilla about, who also creates flower essences, about he has some essences that aren't from physical things, right? So I'm like, well, how do you get and I've seen this in a lot of other brands too, like full moon essence or whatever, that makes sense. But like animal essences. And I'm like, well, you're not taking like the animal and putting it in the water, right? So
he works with animal totems.
Yeah, but his essences are great. Essencealchemy.com. But I'm just curious, because the ancestral healing essence that you're creating now, like, what is, not to ask you to divulge your proprietary blend, but I'm just curious.
Shit, I don't even know it yet. It's coming together, so I couldn't if I wanted to.
Right, exactly. But I'm like, sometimes there's just like there's a way of like transferring the vibration with your intention and just through grace or whatever into the water, that's quite mysterious maybe to me. I'm sure somebody else could explain it better, but I was just curious what you'd have to say about that.
Well, even with that, like, I did this blend and it'll be and I'll still use different. So you do a mother blend, basically, is what your water is. So it's whatever you infuse and what you've done, and then what processes come next, or kind of what that essence calls for, or what you're trying to intuit and put into that essence. I didn't do it in a bowl, but I did it with crystal surrounding and with the healing of nature. And so there was just different aspects of that. Each time I do something different, maybe I'm called to blend it differently or infuse something differently. I did direct vocal toning over the water.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about
in the desert.
this. I'm so excited about it. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. And because I was in a space and I had already the night before had done this, I don't go to anybody's sound baths, but I did this one where it was like the woman put the bowls on me, which was cool because I can't not tone when I hear bowls. So it was good. So I physically couldn't tone. So it was actually pretty good, but it was like in the middle of the desert and I was like, okay. It just came to me and it was like, it's time. And it's like, I literally heard like, it's enough. It's time. Like, we didn't give you these gifts to just be messing with. Here we go. Like, stop. Like, okay. And my mom even, like, I called her and she was like crying on the phone. She was like, I've been waiting. I've been trying to push you, but I know you weren't ready. People need that stuff. And I'm like, I know, but like, it's like the whole, it was the whole like commercialized marketing part that just, it started to mess with me feeling like, how do you balance the two? How do you offer
the right
it
people
to as many
still
people?
Find you
exactly.
That need to find you for sure.
Exactly.
But it's hard to not, we're all still human in these meat suits. So like, it's hard to not be a little bit discouraged by that. And also just wanting to make sure people understand the difference, between, I
put my heart and soul into it. I don't half-ass it. So if the intention is, that's why it was really important. I started them in like waves, right? So when I first started getting ideas, it was like, okay, I want something for anxiety. I want something for protection. Then I channeled the affirmations. Then I channeled the oils. Then I channeled the crystals. Then I channeled the flower essences. That's what I'm doing now. So that first night was like, it's for ancestral healing. Then I did the water. That night I took like a cleansing bath and I sat in the bath and I kept going over a couple different ones. And then all of a sudden the 3 affirmations came. And I was like, okay. Next day I went to one of the little shops in Joshua Tree and I was like, give me that oil, give me that oil. Some oils I hadn't even worked with. I don't even know about. And I'm like, I need that one. What's this one? I'm looking up on my phone. Yep. Okay. What's this one? Okay. Like, and it's a process and I go through and I have to honor each level because it's not me. It's what's like my sound healing. It's not me. So it's just whatever's coming.
It's a collaborative effort, right? Do you time it? Because I'm an astrologer and I'm a firm believer that you can do anything at any time because God, universe, all that stuff. But timing is interesting sometimes, a factor that you can choose to use or not, like full moons, new moons.
I'll work with that, but not always because sometimes some moons it might be full moon, but it might be like a funky ass cleansing moon that you're like, I don't want to bottle that. Like, no.
Sometimes if it's like a full moon conjunct Pluto squaring Mars, it's like probably not.
No, I just go energetically. Like if I feel, even charging my crystals, I'm like, I don't want my crystals out there in that.
So I was just curious about your process around that. And then the very first time that you ever worked with an essence, do you remember what it was?
It might have been that I made or that I took
that
myself.
You took, like where you were like, oh my goodness, this is
I feel like it might have been aquamarine. I used to be, when I first started this journey, before I knew I was going to be doing any of this, I was all about like super high vibey, like blue, aquamarine, aura quartz, like aqua aura. Like I was all about all that stuff.
You must
so I think
really
it might have been aqua aura. It might have been that. Because it was like, I started, the angelics like took me. So that was my first. It was the angelics, and then it really started to like. It was like I started here, and then it was like, okay, now we're pulling you back to your roots, and now I'm incorporating all of
full spectrum, baby.
Yeah.
Full spectrum. You're gonna like, I know you're just kind of ramping back up. It's like a a rebirth or a reawakening, and like the channel's like pew right now. But you do have a class coming up.
I have a workshop
this?
I'm going to do in July, either the 13th or the...
By the time I edit this podcast too, so 21st. I'll pop it in it'll be like up here somewhere. I don't have your details for you.
I think it's either the 13th, I think we're still deciding, so it's either the 13th or the 20th.
Okay.
I'm going to do a workshop on ancestral healing where I will do some healing and shamanic healing during that, and then... that's how I'm going to kind of release. It's going to be my release party for the ancestral healing essence that we will be selling here.
Yeah.
And then I will have my other essences here in the next couple weeks as well. So
oh my God, that's awesome. So what are those essences? What can we find?
I fine-tuned. So I have like a line of 9, but I feel like some I've watched just over the years, what took and what wasn't, so I think I'm going to kind of stick with my core, and it's so protection and power. So like basically sage in a bottle. Toxic detox, which is really good for, it's very minty, and it's very good for if you're on, it's like EMF protection.
Is it like shungite and
like a ton, like pneumite, all that stuff, like pneumite's and other protection as well. I work with real high level, like crazy crystal. I'm like, that's my thing. I'm like the crazier crystal that I don't know about that does the most stuff. I'm like, and let's just put them all. Let's put like 12 crystals in one thing and da-da-da. Like, people told me no all the whole time, but that's for me. Like more is more. Like I'm a little extra. Always.
No, you have to. Just lean into it.
Exactly. And then I have one mental R&R that's for sleep. Lavender, peppermint, vanilla, and anxiety, which is very like citrusy, and I'm deciding if I'm going to keep... So it's like... And then I have a pet spray. So it's like... It's just
that's
hard,
really
right?
huge.
So it's like a lot of your kids, right? So it's like... I also have one for universal love. That's like a heart healing.
Yeah.
And the pet spray. But then now if I have the... So it's really... I'd only be dropping like 2 or 3 of my things, which I'm okay with. It's just keeping up on all those moving parts. So that's
a lot for one woman.
What I've done for a lot of years. And that's kind of what halted me. So I thought if I scale down... But I also feel like... Each one of those things is really important in the line of healing. You know, each one of those needs there's a call for. So I don't know. I mean, the pet one, I've always been kind of like, but like my parents are like, no, the pet one's really important.
The pet one's really
I do. I spray my dogs. It has a lot. It has, I've used oils that are also good for like flea and tick control and skin issues and stuff. And then just really like a general kind of calm and ease and anxiety for them. Right. So, I mean, we might just be doing them all, and I might only drop like 1 or 2, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like for you to just allow, like do the best you can and offer it and just put it out instead of having that whole perfectionist mindset, which makes you feel like you can't possibly do it all so you don't start. All of that kind of thing, but.
Exactly,
yeah. Oh my gosh, what was I going to say? It just totally left. You can use them for room to shift the energy in a room too. So
well,
it's not
that's
just
always
for you.
Yeah.
So it's not just she's like
and linens. Like that's the other thing. Like my sleep spray, I spray all over my pillow.
Yeah.
Everything I make too is safe for kids and for pets. So even though there's a pet spray, like I do the sleep spray over my dog. Or, like the kids, I use them all the kids. Like they're safe for everybody. I use very, safe, high level or like organic as much as I possibly can oils. And, even with the, so like you said, you put like a little bit of alcohol. I use brandy, but it's a very tiny, minuscule amount. So it doesn't affect, it's not, kids aren't going to take it in if they get sprayed with it. It's,
Right. So. It's just so it keeps it, right? Yeah. Well, what's the last thing that you would want to leave people with regard to essences?
I mean, just say trust your instincts. And I mean, that's really literally what I say for everything. But when I used to do the markets and I used to be at the table and people would say like, well, I think I want that one, but I don't know if, and I'm like, go with your gut. If you feel called to start working with essences, if you feel called to use a certain type, if you feel called to go with a certain oil or do something, go with that. Don't talk yourself out of it, because obviously your subconscious is trying to get some sort of healing that you may not even know that you need. So
yep, that was like the first thing that because I used to work downstairs. Well, we're at Liberate Hollywood now, but used to work the front, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, they said, what crystal should I
absolutely.
get? And I'm like, well, don't read the descriptions too much, actually, because you'll know, and you're picking up on the information, even if you don't realize that you are. So whatever you're drawn to is what you need.
Yep.
That's really
Always.
rad. Yeah, I love that. Hey. Yeah, cool.
All right,
Well,
ladies.
Thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon, or whatever time of day it is where you might be listening or watching. And
stay tuned.
Yeah.
I'm over here, alchemy again.
Yeah, so we'll be able to, you can get them either physically in the Liberate Hollywood shop, or I'm sure on your website, which is urban_ or urban-mysticism.
urban-mysticism.com.
All right. Cool.
And I have my online Square shop, and then I have an Etsy shop as well.
Perfect. Yeah. So and then at urban_mysticism, you can get at me, everydayseeker.net, or just at everydayseeker. And then, of course, if you're not following Liberate Hollywood, you need to follow us. So at Liberate Hollywood. All right. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome day, night, evening, and sending you all our love.
Thank you.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this conversation, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want some more amazing resources on your path of liberation, head over to liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram at Liberate Hollywood, all one word, or Liberate Emporium, all one word. Until next time, liberate yourself.